Matlab will be extensively used in the exercises, so we'll go through some basic issues and use of Matlab. I have already made one introduction, which we will now go through. So in the beginning of each script, it's useful to use close and clear commands. Close will close all of the plot windows, and clear will clear out all the variables. And it's possible to evaluate only the selection of the code by using F9 or this. And now all the variables are cleared. If we use comments, which is the percent sign in the script, it denotes a line that is not run during the script. So in general, we need long vectors, and they can be created by using brackets like this, or we can use a linspace command, which has the start and end points and the number of points included. And always, to get help for specific commands, we can use help like this. And if we use semicolons at the end of the line evaluation is not visible. So if we run this part, we do not see the end result, but in the workspace we see that the vector x is a vector array with 101 elements. Instead, if we evaluate this part without the semicolon, we will see the end result at the command window. To show a message during the execution of the script, we can, for example, define a text array and display it by the disp command. So in this case, this is executed, and this is what we got now. And in case of the continuously running scripts, we can use pause, in which case the code will be executed when a key is pressed. And let's move on to plotting. So now we have the x-axis, and we can define two functions and plot them. The plotting is simple with a simple plot command, where the x and y vectors are plotted, and it's possible to cascade as many plots within the single plot command as needed. So in this case, we have these two functions, and by using the colors, we can differentiate the different functions, and often it's useful to use a line width command to increase the visibility of the lines. So let's run this part of the code. So we'll see the y1, both are lines with red and blue. And often it's of course very nice to have the axes and titles. So let's run this again. And we can define the x and y axis and title and the legend of the datasets with the x label, y label, legend, and title commands. Moving on, it's sometimes very useful to define two different y-axes to separate the outputs, and it can be done with this part of the code. In figure, we open a new figure, and then we use plot yy, which is a little bit oldish Matlab function, but still it can be used. And then we need to get the handle of the axes, and by using the handles ax1 and ax2, we have the y-axis at the left-hand side and at the right-hand side of the figure. So let's run this part. So now we'll see that the one size is at the left axis and the other one is at the right axis. And this usually makes most sense if the datasets are very different, but they should be visualized in the same figure. Next, we generate a matrix for the 2D plotting. So we generate one or two vectors denoting the x and y directions, and use a mesh grid command to create two matrices, x and y, for generating the 2D image. And in this case, we use this function to show the capabilities, how to present the values. And of course, there are various possibilities to plot this function, and let's observe them next. We evaluate this selection. And with the image sc command, we will get the plot from kind of up with the color bar denoting the values of the function f. Perhaps the most visual presentation of the 2D functions is the serve function, and I'll run this now. So the function shows the surface plot and below the contour plot, and it's possible to rotate the image this, and if we take a look from top, this resembles the image sc, and from the different angles we'll get a good visualization of how the function really looks like. Now I'd like to introduce the live script functionality of Matlab. This is useful in kind of documenting, for example, the calculation exercises, and new live script can be opened from here. But now I'll open the ready-made live intro. So we can use text, we can insert functions in LaTeX format, we can insert different variables and use different control functions, so sliders, drop-down boxes, and edit fields. So in this case, A is defined with the slider, and we use the same code as in the previous example to generate first a matrix, then using a mesh grid to generate the 2D matrix, and the function is the same as here. And then we use the serve function to show the output, which in this case is shown on the right hand side. We can modify the viewing, either having it in line like this, and we can also hide the code, which leaves us very compact view of the function, its control, and the image. And the advantage of using this live intro is that we can now modify the values and immediately see the effect in the surface plot. So here we modify the value of A and directly observe the changes in the function. So this is very handy in handing out the exercises, for example, not mandatory for exercises, but I will have also some examples realized with this live functionality.